Choice reading can sometimes feel like an out-of-reach dream. I recently heard from a busy teacher who wrote, "I love choice reading, but squeezing it in can be tough." Yeah, I get that. There's so much going on in ELA. In today's episode, we're talking about how to squeeze more choice reading moments into your busy schedule. Even if you don't have time to hand over 10 minutes in class for reading regularly, you can still build your choice reading program with quick and easy additions like these. Ready to dive in? Have you been wondering how to get started with student podcasting? Would you like to get your students thriving inside this 21st century medium without feeling worried about tech issues and platform choices? I'm now opening the doors to my free summer workshop, Camp Creative. Over the course of 3 days, I'll give you everything you need to banish those fears over podcasting technology, platforms, and privacy issues, and start seeing your students thrive with creative podcasting projects instead. You'll get my favorite models and listening activities for helping students connect to podcasts before they create their own, done-for-you curriculum for launching your first project, and the easiest tools and platforms for recording and sharing student work in a safe way. Just as in Camp Creative's past, each day's training, packed with resources and tips, will arrive in your inbox, ready for you to explore when you have time. You'll find the link to sign up in the show notes over at nowsparkcreativity.com. I can't wait to work with you during this free summer session. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast, a podcast for English teachers looking for more creativity, more engagement, more joy, and no more scripted curriculum, lesson planning ruts, or boring book lists. I'm Betsy Potash, and I'm honored you're trusting me to help. You're not alone on this creative journey anymore. Okay, so let's walk through some of these options for squeezing in choice reading to your very busy schedule. The very first one requires no time at all during class, but of course it does require some time on the side, and that is to attract attention to your classroom library. When you build a classroom library, honestly, you gain a partner in promoting reading. You can use your library area to promote books and reading even when you don't have time to do it in class. By changing up your displays, featuring popular books across the top of your shelves, and making use of book recommendation posters and interactive bulletin boards, you'll attract interested students to come and explore the library. Then they start talking to each other, they start sharing their favorite books. It helps with that culture of reading, and it doesn't take any time at all during class. Another great, really quick option is to use book trailers. This is something I first heard about seriously from Abby Gross over at Right On with Miss G, and you can listen back to episode 250 where she talked about this in more detail. But a book trailer is basically a super quick option for class because they're just 2 or 3 minutes long. There's quite a lot of them on YouTube now, a lot of books that are being released that are contemporary come out with a book trailer. So you're not going to find them for books from like 10 years ago or 20 or 50 years ago. But the ones that are coming up right now, a lot of publishing houses are going to the effort to make a book trailer. So if you start searching for them, you're going to find a lot of options. And you can just have a little list bookmarked on your computer so that if you have 2 minutes at the end of class or 2 minutes at the start of class or whatever, you can show a book trailer now and then. It's a great way to introduce a new genre or like highlight a favorite that students have loved in the past because it's just a really quick advertisement for a book. Okay, this next one takes more time, but it allows you to work in more choice reading as a replacement for something that you're doing with whole class reading. If you're really struggling to fit in any choice reading in the cracks between other units, one option would be to give it a whole unit of its own by subbing in book clubs for a whole class text. There's so many great things about book clubs. There's a reason why they're becoming so popular. With a book club, you present students with a variety of choices that revolve around a similar theme. We've talked about them on here quite a bit before, so I don't want to bore you. But just in case you're new to them, Your theme might be like memoir or identity or immigration or whatever. And then you let students choose what they're most interested to read. And you run a unit with your students in small groups, discussing, talking about, doing projects on their own books. This is a way of bringing in a lot of choice, maybe getting students interested in more books than just the book that they're reading, because they'll also probably end up hearing from their friends about their friends' choices. So there will be some spillover in all likelihood, especially if you use graphic novels or novels in verse or dystopia or something that's just really going to hook your readers in. Okay, next let's talk about the option of book talk podcasts. If you're looking to launch a unit that's on public speaking, and maybe usually you do debate or speeches, another option would be to do a choice reading unit that culminates in a book talk podcast. So in this way, you're having a chance to promote books and reading, get kids reading something they're excited about, and you're also hitting those standards about speaking in a very real world way, right? You're teaching them the skill of podcasting while you're also letting them dive into their choice reading. And then at the end, you're going to create this cool list, linked list of podcasts that your students have created that basically give a book talk. And so what you do with that resource is up to you. But somehow, if you can tap into that in the future, you've got all these super quick little book talks in podcast form from your students that you can share then with your next group of students. Okay, next, First Chapter Fridays. If you've been around here for more than 30 seconds, you probably know I'm a little obsessed with this First Chapter Friday concept. That's because it's such a quick and easy way to incorporate way more voices into your curriculum. You don't have to do First Chapter Friday every Friday. It doesn't even have to be on Friday. The concept is simple. You open up a book or you queue up an author reading on a podcast or on a video, and you let students listen to a read aloud. It can be 4 minutes. It can be 8 minutes. It can be 10. It's super flexible. It doesn't have to be the whole first chapter. It doesn't even have to be from the first chapter. If there's some really gripping hook that you want to read out loud to your students that's from chapter 3, fantastic. It's flexible. Then after you read aloud or you let the author read it out loud, make sure the book is available in your classroom library. Remind kids they can get it from over there. One last thing, when you're doing a First Chapter Friday, you want to give kids something to do while they listen. I recommend sketch notes. I have lots of free templates for this. It helps, right? Because we all know that when we're listening to something, we kind of want something to do, whether that's doodling or folding laundry or taking a walk or whatever. So for our students, I like to provide sketch notes. Okay, we're on to the last but not least idea for squeezing choice reading into your very busy curriculum, and that is to incorporate book tastings before breaks. If you're struggling to find time to read in class, this can allow you to take a little bit of time in class to inspire more reading outside of class. If you take the time to do a book tasting on that last day before winter break, spring break, summer break, what you're basically doing is taking a day when everyone struggles to focus, right? That's often a day we devote to something that's not our main curriculum anyway, because everybody is, we can't help ourselves, right? We start to think about break on that last day before break. The students do and the teachers. So if that's the case at your school, a book tasting can be a really fun way to spend that last day before break. You lay out all your books all over the room, pull it together in cafe-like seating, add some fun music, some snacks if you can, if you want to, and then let kids come in and wander the room, taste the books, jot down on their little guided handout, okay, I love this book, I give it 4 stars for this reason, I'd like to check this out sometime. Or, oh, this book doesn't look good to me at all, I would give it 1 star, never check out this book. And at the end of the tasting, hopefully they can look down at their paper and see, oh, I found 2 books that actually look really good that I would actually want to read. And then invite them to check out some books leading into the break. And that will be a great way to activate their reading that doesn't take that reading time in class. Hopefully they get some time over the break and they can sit down with a good book. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today as we talked about all these many options for squeezing choice reading into your main curriculum. We talked about attracting attention to your library. We talked about book trailers. We talked about book clubs, book talk podcasts, first chapter Fridays, and book tastings. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.